Okay, good morning everybody. First of all, a small logistic information. This week laboratory will not be held. We will have one group on Monday. Here you can see on the 30th of March in room 4I. Okay? Well, okay, let me just introduce how the next weeks will unfold. So today we will have a small recap on the authentication and we will see the code. Then we close the server, so we have finished our server. And starting from the next hour, we will start the front end, okay? Then we will have, of course, the laboratory. The next week we will not have the laboratory related to the lectures of that week because Easter vacation starts. So nice to have time with family. And then we will have a laboratory after Easter vacation. Okay. At that point, Professor Corno will publish some lectures pre-recorded on React Forms and React Router. And the next lectures will be on the exercise, on the React Forms and the React Router. Okay, everything is clear? Any doubt, questions on the logistics stuff? No? Okay, perfect. We can start today with the authentication. Let's just have a small recap of the information that you should have studied in the previous days. So let's see, first of all. Yeah, but in the record. Let me see. Okay. So first thing, what is authentication? What is authorization? Answers.
Authentication is login into the system, and authorization is if I can log in certain part outside.
Okay, perfect. So let me just repeat for the recording. So basically with the authentication we verify if the user is exactly who is telling to be. So basically from the front end we receive a request saying, okay, I am this user and this is my password. And on the server we will check if these information are correct. Okay? Authorization, we check if the user can perform a certain action that he is requesting to do. So basically, we will receive something like, okay, I am this user and I'm telling you that I am authenticated. Can I perform this action? So basically, we will check if he is authorized or not. This can also be like not only separate authenticated user or not. I mean, not, authenticated user and not authenticated user, but also the action that different users can perform. For example, we have some action that can be done only by admin user and some others only by simple user. So basically in this way we can also separate the true action, many actions that the different kind of user can perform. Okay? So, yeah, we have. What is a session and what is a cookie? Answer. Yeah.
Session allows the user to not lose information while dealing with information.
Can you use an higher voice because I don't hear from here?
Session
Yeah.
allows the user to not lose his information when navigating to the web page. When navigating between pages, result of that action. It stores its information, its data. For example, in the if she does, for example, storing, for example, buying something, making an action, when going to the other page to confirm the payment, he has the result of buying the book.
Okay, and the cookie?
Cookie,
Do you know what it is? Otherwise, we will ask to someone else. No? Who knows what a cookie is?
Some information that are saved directly to the browser and can be, for example, hide from other system, maybe it's an activity only.
Yeah, is correct, but not the more direct definition. Someone else knows? No. Okay. Let's go back to the session. Yeah. Is stores the cookie. Yeah. The session practically, let's just recap what we have said, okay? The session allows to identify the user without that the user has to repeat every time who he is, what he has done, and so on. Each session is has a session ID, okay? That will be I don't remember the correct verb. That will be encrypted. Yeah, that will be encrypted and will be sent. Where will be sent? It will be sent from the first time from the server to the client. That will store in the browser the session ID that is encrypted, and that one is the cookie. And then at each request, the browser will add the cookie to the requests and will send the request to the server. So the server extract the cookie, identify the user and who he is, and allows or not the action. Okay? Questions? Okay. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so basically, let's repeat what I have just said. Here we have the browser and the server. So what is the first action that is done? One at a time, and use higher voice. I don't hear. I don't.
the browser will send user information like password username to the server. Then
Yeah.
the server will verify this account. Then after verification,
So basically, on the server, what happens?
on the server, the verification.
Okay, the verification, if the username and password are correct or not.
Start the session and then send the session.
Just pause 1 second. So basically here, we verify if the username and password are correct, and the server stores some information about the session ID, the username, some other user info, and so on. And sends back the cookie that is practically the session ID encrypted. Okay? Then, every time that we want to perform an action, what happens? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so basically we send the request, the browser will add the cookie, and on the server we check if the cookie belongs to any existing session in that moment. If yes, execute the code that is needed, for example, in this case an SQL query, and send back the response. Okay? Everything is clear? Okay, perfect. Okay. Basically, this is more an advice than anything else. If you are not a security expert, do not implement the code by yourself. There are a lot of libraries. In this course, we will use Passport to implement the authentication. Here, Passport is a quite flexible library, very bad documented. So if you have any doubts, it may happen that I also have that doubt. So yeah, but it allows you to use a different kind of authentication. So on that side is quite flexible, and each way of authenticate a user are called strategies in Passport. We will use a quite simple strategy that is the local strategy. So basically this tells that we have the username and the password stored locally on the server. Okay? Okay, so we can go to the code right now. Yeah. And we will see here. This is a code that I will push later after the lecture. But basically, it is mostly the server that we have implemented up to now. I'm sorry, I noticed this morning that some comments are in Italian. So sorry for people who don't speak Italian. I will change in English after the lecture. Okay? Do you see? Do you see? Do you see? There. Do you see? Can you read? Are you sure? Okay. Okay, so what do we import right now? Passport, that is basically the library that allows us to implement the authentication. Then the local strategy that, as I said before, defines where we store the username and passwords. And then the session, express session. Okay, so as done in the previous lectures, we have to initialize express with JSON, Morgan, and so on. And here, this is the first code to initialize the passport. So basically here we are telling we use passport, and we are telling to passport which strategy we will use. In this case, we use a local strategy, and we pass. So basically, we are constructing a local strategy object, and we are passing it to passport. And the local strategy constructor requires a verify function. This function will be called each and every time we have to verify a user. Okay, so basically it receives a username, a password, and the first action to do is to get the user. Okay. So basically, in this case, we are practically asking to the server, where is it? Here. Okay, I have this user with this email. Can you tell me his information? So basically, all the information that we have stored on the database. And so we perform a query to the database. If is not found, so here is undefined, we solve with false, so the authentication will fail. Otherwise, what we do? We construct a user object, and we encrypt the password that we received from the user with the salt received from the database. So basically, we have the password given by the user and the salt that we stored in the database, and we encrypt the password with the salt. Do you know what a salt is?
It's an encryption, like a way to encrypt your message.
Yeah, okay, but raise your hand. How many of you know what is a salt? Okay, not so much. So this is more a security concept. Just basically when we store the password on a server, they cannot be stored in clear. Okay. Otherwise, if someone attacks the server, receives, takes easily the username and the password in clear. Okay, so for security, what we do? We practically mask the password. How we do it? Here, where is the DB? Here we have the salt, that is basically a string hexadecimal that is mixed many times with the password, and the output of this is the hashed password. I don't know if it is clear. Mostly? Okay. So basically on the server we will have the salt, that is the string that we use to encrypt the password, and the hashed password. Okay? Well, so we were in the DAO, that I lost it here, okay. At this point, we have retrieved the username, so the email of the user, the name of the user, and the salt, okay? So we take the password that the user sent to us. We encrypt it with the salt, and then we verify if the encrypted password received from the user is equal to the encrypted password that we stored in the database. Okay? Clear? Doubts? Sorry?
Where will I save the salt itself?
The salt here in the DB. Here you have the salt and the saltage password. Okay? No. What is your doubt?
Where will I save the salt?
In the front end, you mean? Oh, basically in the front end you don't have the salt. So you will send the password that the user will insert manually in the login form. And on the database, we retrieve the salt from the DB, we encrypt the password and verify if the password received from the user encrypted with this salt is equal to the hash password that we have saved. Okay, is it clear now? Okay. I will use hashed password and encrypted in the same way. I don't know if there is any small difference in this, but I will use in the same way. Okay. Okay, we were here. So this is practically the code to perform the hashing and the verification. Why don't we just use the equal sign to verify if the hash password and the received password hashed are the same, and we need to use timing safe equal? This is again more a security concept, but it should be quite intuitively. This is the function that we are using. Why we use it this and not timing safe equal?
Like, why do we compare the encrypted message with the salt?
No, why we use this function and not just the equal? So we basically have two strings, okay? We
cannot compare like a string to a string.
no, that's not correct as answer.
What does it do? What does it do as the function?
The function just compares two strings and tells, tells if they are equal or not. It is more a security concept again.
I would say some robot might try to.
So?
I would say some robot might try try different passwords, so it's more safe to check that it's not just someone trying random passwords. Someone trying random text, but then I'll get the fishes or password so I can check.
Yeah, basically someone can just try all the password and then basically on the response time understand where if the first part is correct, then will take more time. I mean, if the first letter is wrong, it will immediately return, and so the user knows that the first part is wrong and tries other combination. If it is mostly right and just like the last letter is wrong, the check will take more time, and someone on the other side understands that most of the part of the combination is correct, and just like the last letter is wrong, and so on. Okay? Mostly, not really clear. Do you have any other doubt? No. Okay. So we do the verification. So basically here, if they are the hash password and the password extracted from the DB are equal, great. The user is who is telling to be, and we can accept his authentication. Otherwise, we reject his authentication. Okay. Here, continuing in the verify function. So again, if the user is not who is telling to be, we return null that tells that no error happened. Okay, so the DB is on, the connection is okay, and so on. False means that the authentication wasn't successful. Okay, and an error message. Okay. Otherwise, we return null and user. Okay. And this is we are initializing the local strategy in Passport. I see some really doubtful looks on your face. What is wrong? What is not? What are you not understanding? Would you like to speak with me?
Just were asking what CD is for.
It is practically callback that requires local strategy. Yeah, not.
No, was just.
Okay. Okay. Before going on, I want to show you how you can create your salt and how you can encrypt it. Okay. You can go on this website that should be in the slides. And here you can generate your salt. Okay, let's see. Here you take it, and here you can encrypt the password. So basically, let's say that our password is password, and the salt is this one that we just copied from here. And we can encrypt the password, and so this is the encrypted password that we will store in the database. So this and this will be stored on the database. Okay? Okay, then we have other two functions that will tell to Passport how to serialize the user and deserialize. This serialize is used to tell Passport how to save the user information in the session. Okay? While deserialize is starting from the session how we reconstruct back the user. Yeah.
Just check that I understand the whole
Yeah.
When I sign up for a website, create an account, on my sign up, I create like a sort for me, especially for my account, for my email. This sort is then saved into the database. So when I re-sign in again, on my email, it checks, okay, this XYZ is my sort. So I use this sort to encrypt my password and check the encryption, check the login, and then I enter. Right?
I think yes, but only one thing that I didn't understand from you: the salt is saved on the DB. The user will never receive the salt.
No, I was just saying that okay, for every user who's signing up for an account, a sort is created for him.
Yeah.
So when I re-log in again, basically the system should check for this mail. This is his sort, and then using this sort to encrypt the password he entered, and then if it's okay, then he will sign it. I will allow to sign it, right?
Okay. Yeah. And one important thing is to use a different salt for each user. Otherwise, if the two different users have the same password and the same salt, the hashed password will be basically the same. Okay? So if we use a different salt for each user and they have the same password, the hash password will be different. Okay? Okay. So we told the password what strategy we are using, how to perform the verification of the username and password, how to serialize the user and back in the session, and now what we can check if the user is logged in. Okay. So basically here we are defining a middleware is logged in that asks if the request is authenticated. This is basically something that is already available. Okay. And then we are telling we have defined the session. So basically the secret is the sentence that will be used to encrypt the session ID. We are going back like 10 minutes ago when we spoke about the session and the cookie, okay? And we told that the server sends back the session ID encrypted, right? Is okay? And this is basically the sentence that will be used to encrypt the session ID. That is basically the cookie. Okay, and then finally here we are saying that the two passport to authenticate the user to the session. Okay, so here there is basically all the setup for the for Passport to use the local strategy and the session. Finally, we can use the we can write the endpoints for to authenticate and perform the logout and verify if the user is currently logged in. Okay, sorry. If in this moment exists any session. This is the endpoint that we will call to perform the authentication, basically a post to session. And this is the function that we'll call the verify function that we defined here in the beginning. This is this is to verify is a get, as I was saying. To verify is in this moment a user is currently logged in, so a session exists. Basically, we verify if the request is authenticated, so we return a user object with any information we decide to save. And finally, we can delete the current session. So this is practically the logout. Okay? Quite easy this part, not so much the first part, right? Okay, let's just try if everything works. Here we have some API requests. So, okay, let me just start the server. I was forgetting that one. API. Okay. Okay, so we started our server and we can try our requests here. Okay, so what is the first that we should run here? Yeah, it is basically this one, in which we are sending a post to API session with the username and the password. So nice. We created the session, and the server answered with, okay, this is the user, it has this ID, with this username and the name. Basically, it's more like when you register on a website and you use your mail and also your name. So here the server is sending back the username, the mail and the name the user registered with. So this is practically some information that can be used that can be displayed on the front end. So when we are like implementing hello Luigi, hello Fulvio, welcome back, and so on. We will use that later in the next lectures. Okay, so let's see if we had any authenticated, yeah, here, this one, this post. We can only vote if the user is logged in. This is the middleware that we have defined before. So we should be able to vote right now because we are logged in. So it is, nope. Yet. Okay, this one. Everything went well. If we log out with this one, so right now we delete the session related to that user, and we go back here, we try to vote again. So in this moment we are not authenticated, so we should not be authorized to perform this action. Yeah, great. Okay. Let's see if we try to log in with the wrong password. We are not authorized to, because we wrote basically a wrong password. Okay. Last thing that I would like to show you on this is this one. App.use is logged in. So this is the middleware that we defined before to verify if the user is authenticated or not. And as a middleware, we write it here after the URL, okay? But there is basically this very intelligent way to perform things. This tells that starting from this line, all the APIs that are below are must be compliant to that middleware, okay? So basically is if we remove the is logged in from here, still this API performs the is logged in middleware, okay? if we do like this, we will not be able to log in anymore because we have the login code at the end. But if we move here the login code in the beginning, and okay, we are telling that this must be compliant to is logged in. So let's see. We are currently not logged in, so if we try to vote, we are not authorized. Okay? And basically this allows to not repeat the middleware in each and every API. Okay? Clear? Questions? Doubts? Okay. Okay, so guys, this was supposed to last 1 hour, but we took 45 minutes. So you can already have your break if you don't have any questions. And in the meanwhile, I will be here if you have any doubts. Okay?